The content provided in this video and on our website is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended as, and translates to, legal advice, professional instruction, OR management direction. CamWise is not acting as your legal counsel, OR assuming liability for actions taken based on this content. For specific legal interpretations of your association's CC&Rs and state laws, always consult a qualified attorney.
Welcome to The Explainer. So, if you're stepping into the housing market right now, especially as a first-time buyer, you're absolutely going to encounter 3 little letters that can completely change your entire homeownership experience. Yep, HOA. Today, I'm going to act as your personal real estate mentor. We're actually going to follow a step-by-step journey of a buyer heading straight toward closing. And we're going to strip away all the confusion to look at the hard legal reality of homeowners associations. I see so many buyers get swept up in the excitement of a new house, only to be totally blindsided by the legal entity they literally just married into. So think of this explainer as your essential advice for buying into an HOA, a guide to understanding exactly what you're getting into before you sign your name on that final dotted line. Okay, here's our blueprint for today. We're going to cover your neighborhood mini-government, the foundational HOA rulebooks, blueprint and developer control, the big power transition, and finally, mandatory membership and liens. All right, Section 1, your neighborhood mini-government. Now, listen to the exact phrasing here. A homeowners association is not just some casual neighborhood club or, a friendly suggestion box. It is actually a private, nonprofit corporation created to manage, maintain, and preserve a planned community. When you buy into an HOA, you are essentially becoming a shareholder in a corporate entity with serious governing power over the homeowners in your physical neighborhood. And because of that, you absolutely have to evaluate the current financial health of the association, just like you would any major business. To put that into perspective, it helps to compare the HOA board to a small local government for your neighborhood. Your actual local government levies taxes and enforces laws, right? Well, your HOA levies fees and assessments, and it enforces rules using fines. It is literally a mini government for your specific street, complete with its very own budget. And as a buyer, this is exactly where you need to spot any hidden costs in those monthly maintenance fees, because make no mistake, you are voting for this mini government the exact moment you buy the house. Moving on to Section 2, the foundational HOA rulebooks. So where does this mini government actually get its power? Well, it comes from 2 foundational documents. The first is the CC&Rs, that stands for the Declaration of Covenants, Conditions, and Restrictions. Think of this as your master rulebook. It defines your rights, your obligations, and it establishes the common areas. If you're making a simple checklist for reviewing property titles and association documents, reading this is step 1. And notice that crucial last point. It legally runs with the land. The rules aren't tied to you personally. These master rulebooks are permanently tied to your property title records themselves. Basically, whoever owns the dirt obeys the rules. Now, if the CC&Rs are the Constitution, the bylaws are the operations manual. While the master rulebook dictates what you can do with your property, the bylaws dictate the day-to-day procedures of the corporation. They summarize exactly how the HOA board is elected, how meetings are held, and the precise mechanisms for fee collection. Knowing these details is absolutely essential for spotting red flags, things like unexpected rule changes that the board might be able to push through without a full community vote. All right, Section 3, Blueprint and Developer Control. Let's actually go back in time for a second to see how this legal structure is set up before a buyer ever even enters the picture. HOAs aren't created by a bunch of friendly neighbors moving in and having a block party. No. In Step 1, the original developer draws up those CC&Rs, bylaws, and plat maps. In Step 2, they record them with the county. And right there, in Step 3, the HOA legally exists. Not a single house has been sold yet, but the corporation is alive and well, with the developer in total control. This is a critical phase to investigate during your step-by-step closing process, mostly so you don't end up inheriting unpaid developer debts once the neighborhood is finally finished. Which brings us to Section 4, the big power transition. So for the first several years, that developer controls the HOA board. They set the budget and they enforce the rules. But right in the middle of this timeline is the transition. This is the specific moment when power moves from the builder to the residents. Once the community reaches a certain percentage of sold homes, the developer legally must transfer control of the property, the accounts, and the board seats to the actual elected homeowner board. As a buyer, you need a list of questions to ask about the current developer management status. Things like what percentage of homes are sold, is the board currently developer controlled or homeowner controlled? Because trust me, the power dynamic is completely different depending on where you sit on this timeline. And finally, Section 5, mandatory membership and liens. Now we arrive at the stark financial reality. I hear this from first-time buyers all the time as we get closer and closer to closing. They find a house they absolutely love, they see there's an HOA, and they always ask this exact question. Can I just buy the house and simply opt out of the Homeowners Association? Like, can I just choose not to participate? The answer is a loud, resounding no. No way. Remember what we learned earlier? The CC&Rs run with the land. Because those master rulebooks are permanently tied to the title of the property, there is absolutely no opt-out loophole. You automatically accept the rules and the mandatory membership obligations the exact moment you sign your closing documents and get the keys. Which brings us to your financial obligations. Monthly HOA fees are a permanent, non-negotiable part of owning that specific piece of real estate. They create a potential financial burden that is completely separate from and honestly goes way beyond your monthly mortgage. And hey, if you think you can just withhold payment because you're mad about a new rule, actually, scratch that. Don't even try it. Refusal to pay triggers the HOA's ultimate legal tool, a property lien on your home. Property liens function as a severe legal consequence for unpaid dues. This means the HOA holds enforcement power just like your mortgage lender or the county tax collector. Let's be clear, unpaid fees and lien risks are permanent property obligations that can fast-track you straight to foreclosure. I really want to leave you with this final piece of advice directly from our sources. Quote, the HOA is a legal contract that predates your ownership. Always review the CC&Rs before you sign the final paperwork. You know, you are legally and financially bound to a mini government, fully agreeing to its rules, its fees, and its penalties. The absolute importance of reviewing those CC&Rs before signing cannot be overstated. So before you get handed those keys, you really have to ask yourself, are you just buying a beautiful home, or are you actually signing away your property rights to a corporate board of your neighbors? Thanks so much for joining this explainer. Definitely think carefully before you sign.